Hi, this is Treka, hitting you from San Diego, and you're listening to Grown Man Sessions.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Grown Man Sessions. My guest today is a very good friend of mine. I've known Miss Treka Williams for, God, how many years has it been now, Trick?
Don't date me. Don't date me. Over 20. Let's just say over 20.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, man, like we've gone through so many things in our lives, like together, man. It's crazy. Like you see me go through like so many ups and downs, and I've seen you go through your ups and downs, and like we're still rocking, man. So like I really appreciate
Okay.
you coming on. I really appreciate you taking your time to come on my show.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a blessing and a pleasure. I'm definitely a big fan.
Right
So
on.
I'm proud of you and your show. It's real dope.
Thanks, Tree. I appreciate that. You already know, like I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, like I don't even know if this would have been possible. You know what I'm saying? Like doing this kind of show, like because I don't think I was in the space to be able to do something like this, like that at
No,
that time.
I think you went through a major shift, and it didn't necessarily just, take you away from music, but it made you want to have more intent with your content that you're building. So podcast is the best thing. You do it when you want to do it, and you say what you want to say. And yeah, I think it's a good look, because I think a lot of people look for content like this. What is it to be a grown man? So have some sessions with some grown men, figure it out.
I hope so. Like that's the goal. But I mean, even when I talked to like this guy named Tajay, and he's on the Dame Dash streaming platform, and
Hmm.
he's like, dude, even with the people that he's got behind him and like all the stuff that he's doing, like it's positive stuff too. He said it's hard to break through like people's like what they consume like on social media and like through TV and stuff like that, because everybody just wants to kind of keep watching and consuming the same stuff. So like positive stuff like this, or like stuff that'll address mental health issues or stuff like that, it's not like what people really want to tune into like all the time. So it's kind of like it's a good thing, but at the same time, like, is it a good enough thing where people want to check it out? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I think it is. I think that was one of the biggest things that was a concern for me when I started Know Better, Do Better, is that I started because, not because I wanted to become famous on YouTube. I started because when I started going through my spiritual journey, I was looking for other people like
Mhm.
me, and other, people's experiences, to like kind of, get an idea of what it is I'm actually going through. Because it's not like you can just walk down the street or just call a doctor and be like, yo, I'm going through some things that I don't understand. When I did reach out to them like that, they immediately want to give me prescriptions. Like, you're
Mhm.
bipolar, you got depression, you got anxiety. When all in reality, what it was is that I had issues that I was dealing with inside, but had nowhere to go for outlets to get help, or for
Mhm.
people that understood what I was
Right.
going.
Right.
So shows like your show is necessary. The people who need to see it, they definitely will. They already have, um, and more people will.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way as you do in finding that connection with people, because I always tell people I feel like I'm the lucky one. Like I get the benefit from, talking to these people directly, whereas like, I hope other people get the benefit from, us having
Watching.
conversations and watching. But like I get a direct benefit because like I'm actually like soaking this up in like real time. And
Hmm.
so let me ask you, like do you find like hearing other people's stories and having like these like deep conversations with other people, do you find it like a healing thing for you too?
I will say that my podcast is more therapy than anything
Hmm.
for me. And so maybe I do get a little bit selfish about the things that I want to dive into, or who the people I want to bring on. But um,
That's a beautiful
it's,
thing though.
yeah, I feel like I kind of started going to therapy and talking to a therapist a little bit right before I started my podcast. And as soon as I started my podcast, she could start seeing changes in me. And she was like, you really are, you know, doing some work. And I was like, you know what? I don't even think it's me doing work. It's me talking to these different people and hearing their experiences and seeing that we all are going through some of the same things and don't even know it. And just knowing you're not alone most of the time or at any time, that's enough for, you know, you to get motivated to keep going and keep pushing. I know there's something, you know, when I was in them places where I didn't want to go no more.
Mm-hmm.
I gave up. So, you know, even just, I don't get a lot of views. I don't have as many subscribers as you. I'm not hating. I'm not jealous, but I'm just saying, you know, I'm still working on getting out there. But the people that come up to me or, you know, message me or text me and they're like, yo, watch the show. And, you know, that was real deep, or you were real brave for saying that. And it's like, it's stuff that I don't even know that I'm processing, but it's just that it's the fact that you're in, you know, within a group of people who are, you know, we're all opening up and you can live through somebody else or learn through other people's experiences. That's like the whole point of it.
Oh man, I'm big on that though. Like I watch so many other shows that are like similar to what I want to do. You know that like I'm a big believer in that. Like I was told at a young age that dumb people don't learn, smart people learn from their own mistakes, but wise people learn from other people's mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll watch shows like, you know, like the Soft White Underbelly. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
That show is amazing, and it's like it's borderline depressing, but it's also very informative just on like human behavior,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how like our journeys are a lot more similar, like how you just said, than we really realize. Because you know there's people that have been through very similar situations that me and you have, but made
Mm-hmm.
one or two like decisions or let one or two things kind of like pile up and not deal with, or let a couple things kind of veer off for them, and they end up on skid row, end up
Mm-hmm.
homeless, end up addicted to drugs, end up as
Mm-hmm.
prostitutes, end up as gangbangers, you know.
Right.
So to me it's like I kind of just use these opportunities and these things that I watch and consume to reflect on, like, okay, like what can I pull from this to like be a better dad, or to just like be a better person, you know what I'm saying? Because and just to
Right.
kind of like be a little bit more empathetic to what other people are going through, you know what I
Right.
mean?
It definitely will. It'll show you, like, it kind of teaches you a lesson with compassion, which is something I don't think I really grew up with the knowing of a lot of, because I didn't get no compassion from my family. It's like, you either
Mm,
get out here, go get it, or you going to be a fucking failure. Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, just take your time and figure out what you want to do in life. It's like, no, you go to school, you graduate, you get a job, you get out of my house, you take care of yourself. That's the compassion. And when you are brought up with that kind of mentality, like, it's hard for you to look at someone else and see their struggle
mm,
and, you know, even make a relatable, you know, connection to what you're going through, because you're like, well,
mm,
that's not me, but it could be you, you know, or it could have been you in the past. You know, we try to disconnect ourselves from each other so much, but we are all really connected way more than we are disconnected.
yeah, I could relate to you because I was in the same path. Like, you know, I remember my mom primed me like for years talking about, man, like you know, the countdown is real, like before you gotta be out on your own. And I remember like, you know, kind of going through a period of my life like after high school where I was out on my own and I was doing my own thing, and I kind of looked down on people that still lived at home. And now that I'm older, I look back and I'm like, man, like those people, they had a good support
They
system,
did. And I wish I could have stayed home. You know what I'm
right?
saying? But
Yeah.
it wasn't even like a real option for me. It was like, you go into college. I got that. I got my scholarship for San Diego State. It was like, okay, well, you gonna pick one of these colleges, but you got to get the hell up out of here. So it's just, it's like, when you hit a certain age, it's like they automatically are, you're grown, but you're really not. Like, I still
Mm-mm.
was a baby when I left. I was 17, barely about to turn 18 when I came to San Diego for school. I had never lived on my own. Only bill I paid was a cell phone bill. Like, I had a job, so I had that work ethic. But looking at it in hindsight, working when I should have been a child, that was an ass backwards way of being, but that was the only way that I knew how to survive. So you get in that survival mode. So that's, I
Mm.
mean, I'm pretty shocked that I came to San Diego and was, successful in staying above water because I really didn't have any support back home.
Yeah, I like how you say that. Like we get kind of like pushed into survival mode, and I feel like I've talked to a lot of people where it's hard to wrap your mind around not being in survival mode. Like we kind of get stuck in it because it's like a mechanism that we use to like move forward, but then like we kind of don't know how to move forward without it. You know what I mean?
And it
Like
becomes toxic to us.
it's so toxic. It's like
So
survival
toxic.
survival mode is it. Look, I look at survival mode as like, okay, there's a good aspect to it, but
When you need it.
when you're forced into it at a young age, and like there could have been alternatives, and like you kind of like are forced into that kind of like mentality. It's hard to like if you don't have anybody to teach you how to like deal with things and like and heal and like move past it, and you don't have like role models to like show you those things, like you can get stuck in that mode for a long time.
I've been stuck in it for about 38 years. I would say the last 2 years is the first time I've started to actually believe that I don't need to be in survival mode. I need to be thriving.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have family members or friends who haven't reached that level of consciousness, they always pumping that fear in your heart. Like, did you watch the news? And like, yeah, I don't know. I don't need that extra outside pollution coming up in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, because survival mode is just, it's truly based off fear. And if you walk
Mm-hmm.
around living in fear all the time, you will never find that security and stability to go and reach your full potentials in whatever you're supposed to do in this life, period. Because you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, I don't openly really talk about this a lot, but even when I went to college, left my mom's house the first time, I was scared. But I also
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm about to prove a point. I'm about to be the first one to go to college. I'm about to handle my shit. I'm not coming back here until I do.
Yeah.
Well, I ended up staying here for longer. But when I tried to go back, the same toxic dynamics that my mother and I had when I was a child, they still remain because they were
Mm-hmm.
never handled. They were never healed.
Mm-hmm.
My mother didn't tell me she loved me like to my face that I can remember until I was in my early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 40.
Yeah.
So although I know she loved me, but I think people don't really understand like the importance of actually expressing that
Oh yeah.
and actually exuberating that feeling to your children and encouraging them to not live in fear. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like my mom was a single mother, so she struggled a lot. And instead of her keeping a lot of that, that bills and that adult stuff to herself, she would throw it in our face. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? We can't go do this because we broke. We broke. We broke. Growing up with that ringing in my head, that's a it's a blockage. You're not gonna grow. You feel like I
Mm-hmm.
can't do this. I can't do that. I don't have the means or the money or I'm not rich enough, but you could do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter about that. But that broke mindset, that living in lack, that's what
Mm-hmm.
it is. That's what I've been trying to break myself of the past couple years because you live in lack, you stay in lack because you don't feel like you're worthy of anything better than that.
Oh yeah. I know. I think it's like a generational thing. Honestly, I think we like maybe I'm not trying to justify anything or make any excuses, but maybe that was something that was passed down to your mom, because I know I've heard stories from my mom about how her parents were with her, and it made sense to me. I'm like, okay, so
Hmm.
like that's part of the reason why you did some of the things that you did.
Right.
But I think I completely agree with you. I feel like once you shift your mindset and you do realize that, like, a lot of the obstacles that we face, there's always a way around,
Right.
especially the internal obstacles, what I'm saying? Like, we have ways around to, not live in that lack or living in fear. because yeah, like I'm a big believer, and tell me if you agree. I'm a big believer in energy. So I feel like if you're living in that world of fear and negativity and
It's
always
low
like,
vibrational energy. So you stay low vibrating with the low vibrating shit. So whatever's down there, that's what you live in.
and then that's what you attract.
Yep, absolutely. And you and I have had multiple conversations about, things of this nature. And
Hmm.
um, I once I started to really truly believe in it and know, not just believe, not just have faith, but know I create my own reality, because I can tell you the day that it stopped being bad and it
Hmm.
started working more towards good, even though there is no good or bad. I'll say I remember when I started being a dark, low vibrational person, and I started raising and higher my frequency, because it's happier up here, you know?
And you know what's crazy to me, Trick, is like I feel like that's just your natural, like your vibration just naturally. Like you just have like a naturally high vibration.
Right.
And
That's
what and
that's
what's
why I was depressed when I was vibrating low.
and what's crazy to me is that, like, because I feel the same way, and I know like how it feels to kind of go through that period where like you're down and you're not, like things aren't going right for you mentally, and you do feel like, depressed. And what's crazy to me is that, like, on the outside looking in, on the outside looking at you, I'm like, that's not my friend. Like that's not my sister right there. Like that's not Trika. You know what I'm saying? Like I know she's going through something right now, because I know naturally she's got like that bright spirit. She's got that dope personality. She's got that, like, that light. But I know you was going through some things within yourself, because like I couldn't see it at that time. You know what I mean?
I
And so
wasn't
like,
very open about it either. So
hmm
I know, but I did spend a lot of time with you and, the First Start family. And that was some of my roughest time, especially when I had to move back from San Diego to Sacramento for those few years. And
hmm
like, I tell people all the time, if I didn't have y'all like as my crew, my circle, my family back then, I probably easily would have, could have easily slipped the other way. Like you said, we could have been on Skid Row, but
hmm
something else took us to another direction. And I felt like at that time, and I mean all my life, music has always saved my life. But at that time, music was very important. And even though I was going and still getting faded on the trips and, road shows and all the shit, and still y'all wouldn't let me slip too far. You know what I'm saying? And y'all still looked out for me. And you didn't sit there and just judge me because I'm acting wild or something like that. But I do remember everybody being concerned, like, hey, are you good? Because
I was about to say, we were like, you good?
you're not good. And I mean, I think about all the crazy shit I was doing when I was going through that phase. I just don't know. I can't believe how long it lasted. Like, and I didn't end up in, no pain other than the pain I put myself through. But I never got kidnapped, never got raped. You know what I'm saying? But I was doing some dangerous things.
Hmm.
So that's how I know, like, I'm protected. Like, I have a strong shield of protection around me by my light workers and my guardian angels and stuff like that. So I'm blessed to be on the other side. And that's not saying I'm not still having to do work. Work is having to be done every day. I still, have those days where I feel really challenged and I feel like, okay, I'm just going to go have a drink and just, move forward. But I also wake up the next morning and realize, hey, that ain't help nothing. You still feel what you felt before you had that drink and before you fell asleep. So now what? Like, it's really, it's hard, but just being honest with yourself. I think that's my whole thing right now. It's like, yeah, I hate when people tell me I'm some type of way, but when I sit back and think about it, I was being that to them. And I did it on purpose because I felt hurt and I wanted them to feel that hurt.
Hmm.
So that's when you know you got some healing to do, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're like aware of it and like you're acknowledging it, you're already like a step ahead. I mean, because I know people that that going to that point is like talking to a wall. You know what I mean? Like understanding that part is like unheard of.
You know why? It's because people, I won't say people, all people, but most people don't want to take accountability for their own feelings, their own actions, um, what they say.
How they say
And
it.
you know what I mean? What I have come to learn, though, is that everybody that's in my life, I've drawn them to me. You know what I'm saying? We had to vibrate on the same frequency somewhere, or else you would never even gotten here. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. We're all energy sources, just walking around here, energy sourced out. Some people can get deeper, some people can't. But the ones that get deeper and they hurt you, either, they came in to teach you a lesson, or you supposed to teach them a lesson. But at the same time, in order for you to get your lesson, you have to be able to take that self accountability for what you're doing and own it, and shit, you've known me for a long time. I don't say I'm sorry a lot. But nowadays, I'm like, let me just be the first one to say it, because it's too heavy on me. Like, I can't even
Hmm.
carry this. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. Like, but it's because I'm now more tuned into like how that makes me feel energetically, and it don't make me feel good when I'm beefing with anybody. So
That's not part of your spirit.
it's not. I'm a lover.
Yeah, I think what you said is really important, as far as like just taking accountability because I've asked other guys on here, what I'm saying, like what do you consider a grown man? And a couple people have said, like a grown man's got to be accountable. I mean, but I think that applies to just people in general, you know what I mean? Like it's just something, a quality of a person that, is somebody that is trying to like be better and be a better husband, wife, person, friend, employee, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
if you're being accountable for what you got going on, like that'll always uh land well no matter how the situation goes, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
what I'm saying, like you can get into an argument with a friend or a family member, and if you say, you know what, like, that was my bad, my fault, I apologize, and that'll go a long way, like not, we're nobody's ever going to be in a perfect situation where everything's going to be like perfect for, the whole time. So I
Right.
mean, but like there's always things that we can do to like just be accountable and just keep ourselves like going on a good path.
Right. And I mean, I think also too, the flip side of that is, like, if you are holding yourself accountable, we also have to realize that everybody else is doing what they gonna do regardless, and we can't
Mhm.
take it personally. So hold up to your end of it, and if other people ain't holding up to their end, don't trip, don't take it personally, because they might not even be right there mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is. They may not be in a position to own up to what they do, and it's like giving someone an apology. They can accept it, or they cannot.
Yeah.
At least you did your part, and you gave the apology, but it's up to them whether they want to accept it.
I feel like I'm at the point now where it's like if I'm holding myself accountable and somebody else isn't, like I'm like, man, it's not for me.
I'm
Like if I'm
good.
if I'm yeah, I'm good. If I'm over here like, like being cool and just like trying to be humble about the situation and the other person is over here just like being arrogant and just being selfish about things, that's not my situation anymore. Like that's where I'm like, okay, I see what it is now. And I know where that's gonna go and it's not for me. You know what I mean? And I think that's just a part of like kind of going through it over and over again and finally learning, like, you know what, like after this time, like I'm not gonna do that
I'm
anymore.
not doing it no more.
Yeah.
I think the beginning of my spiritual journey, I tried to hold on to a lot of things, a lot of people, situations that were still not very healthy for me. But it was like, oh, but I'm used to this. I'm comfortable with this. I should just accept them and this for what it is, no matter if it's driving me insane or is making me sick. And then something hit me, and it was just like, for what? You know, if if it's not doing any service to you, why are you holding on to it? Whether it be people or anything. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, there's no reason. And as much as you love something, you love someone, you love some place, maybe the time in that, connection is over, and everything doesn't last always. Some people are just coming in for a quick little season, teach you a quick little minute something, and then they're supposed
Mm-hmm.
to dip.
Mm-hmm.
But we try to hold on to these people. Are they trying to run out? You like, no, where you going? Where you going? Like, no, let that shit go. Like that's what
Mm-hmm.
my whole motto has been this week. It's just let it go.
It's funny you say that. I was listening to John Connor. Like he was on the
Hmm.
last episode, and he released a project today, and I was listening to the album, and it's dope. But he has a song on there called "Let Go," and I'm telling you, Trick, you got to check it out. Like the way that the girl sings the hook, and like just like the whole vibe of the song, like it just kind of like fit what we're talking about right
Oh,
now.
see, I gotta listen to it now.
Yeah.
It's hard to let go though, because I be wanting to come for people's head like, nah, oh no, bro, you not about to do me dirty like that, or you not to let me have my word on this situation while you looking like the golden child, like. But
Mm,
I also got to realize that's my ego,
mm-hmm.
and that ain't helpful. Like ego's helpful at sometimes, but not at times like that when you trying to get back at somebody and bust their head open. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
it ain't even worth it. It's like I think about some of the things that I've said to people or things that people have said to me in the past. And I'm like, dang, I forgot all about that. You know what I'm saying? Because it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it matters to you, you will handle it with a little bit of tenderness. You won't be ready to go back and forth, tit for tat. You be like, we really got to talk. And I think communication is something that as the most intelligent things on the planet, we don't do communication very well at all.
Oh man, tell me about it. I
I
feel like
watch
I'm like,
animals that can't speak communicate way better than we can. Ants
yeah.
got this thing on lock. Like they don't need nobody yelling at them. They know what their role is. They play their position. They take care of the queen. Everybody know what their role is. But out here, it's just everybody trying to be somebody else instead of falling in their own pocket. Like
Hmm. Oh man, communication is so important. I remember talking to Michael Blue Eyes. He's an artist out of Fresno, and he spent like I think like 15 years in prison, and he said one of the most important things he learned in prison was communication. He said like he learned how to do conflict resolution in prison, and that's something that he still does. Like he's an advocate, even though now he's out on parole. He's an advocate like for people that are in prison that are trying to resolve conflicts. And
that's dope.
he said 9 times out of 10 it's all because of like just like some sort of miscommunication.
Miscommunication.
Yep. But like in those situations, of course, they could turn deadly. I mean, but even in like relationships, like with your significant other, it could lead to divorce, it could lead to domestic abuse, it could lead to like,
Right.
infidelity and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm learning this lesson right now in real time, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm married, and like, I'm learning like my communication style is a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more like blunt than other people are used to. So like I've really had to temper down like some of the things that I've said or the things that I say and deliver it in a different way because like I don't want anybody to ever think that like I'm trying to be that way. It's just kind of like
Right.
what I've developed over the years, you know what I'm
Right. I definitely agree with you on that. And I don't know if it's a Sacramento thing, but
saying? It's a South Sacramento thing.
South Sacramento thing. Because I've been called out on that too lately. I'm just like, what you mean? I was just telling you the truth. Like, and there it goes again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely need to work on the communication, but I also need to work on communicating things that don't make me feel good, in a manner where it doesn't cause a fight, but it causes a conversation.
Oh man, and I like that. I like that. That was another thing I learned on here too is setting boundaries that if you set a boundary, it doesn't have to be a confrontation.
Yep.
And I
Because
mean,
I think if you started out, everything starts out and you don't set these healthy boundaries and let people know, okay, this is where I'm good, this is where I'm not good, this is the gray. Like people can cross those boundaries, and you'll say, oh, well, I didn't tell them in the beginning that I'm not cool with that, so I can't hold it against them. So then you weaken your little boundary a little bit, and then it continues to happen because it becomes a pattern in some cases. And then
hmm
you get so far deep into it that when you blow up about it, it's like, well, why you didn't say nothing 5 months ago? And then that's my issue. It's like I hold stuff in because I'm like, I just don't want to fight.
yeah,
But maybe it's because I'm approaching it wrong. Maybe it's not supposed to be a fight. It's supposed to be a conversation.
right, right.
And every time that you bring something up or you confront someone about something, it doesn't have to be a fight. It could just be a conversation.
And that's, I think, like we and you kind of have that same mentality because, like, I'm the type of person where I used to be the type of person where it's like I didn't really have boundaries. I was like more like, you know what, like I'll just adapt, like because
Right.
that's part of my survival mode tactic was like
Right.
I got this tattoo on my arm that's a lizard. When I first got tattoos because I felt like that. I felt like a chameleon. Like I could blend into my surroundings. And I used to have friends that would tell me, what I'm saying, like, man, like Tim, like I could take you to any situation and you could fit right in. And like I used to take it as a compliment, but now that I look back, it's like that's not necessarily a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it is, but it isn't. It's like a double-edged sword because it's good to be relatable and to like be able to like just communicate with anybody and talk to anybody. But also it's because I wasn't setting my boundaries. I wasn't letting people know that like, you know what? Oh, okay. Well, you like that. Oh, I'm not cool with that. And
Right.
it could be, that's all it has to be. Like you said.
Right. And I feel like I didn't know how to set boundaries.
Me either. I didn't even know what that was.
Shit, I mean, I come from a family that everybody disrespect everybody. It really don't matter. Like, and I mean, you come up with that. Oh, I don't know. My mom, it was like you do as I say type of mentality. So you didn't have room to have your own, set of rules and boundaries. You just did what the house rules was, and you better live by that, or you're gonna get in trouble.
Mhm.
And even with that, like, I think that's part of the thing that's going on with me and some of my family members is me. I'm starting to set boundaries now. Like, y'all not going to just talk to me any kind of way anymore. Like, I understand I have had a very colorful past, but as of right now, I'm doing good where I'm at. And I'm not requiring anything from any one of you, which
Just basic respect.
just pure respect and unconditional love. That's all I
Mhm.
ask for you. I don't ask you for anything other than that. And that in itself is kind of like a little iffy because I don't feel secure enough to even go ask my family for help because it's
Mhm.
been drilled in my head. You got to take care of yourself. You don't need nobody else. But I had to hit rock bottom to actually, wake up,
Mhm.
which it was scary because I was going through the periods. I'm sure you remember, but I was in and out of the hospital every few months, and even after I relocated back down to San Diego in like 2017, I was still starting to go back into the hospital out here. And out here, I just really didn't have no family, no nothing. So it's just like me dealing with that by myself.
Mhm.
Um, I was really depressed. I was still I'm still grieving my little brother's murder. So that definitely threw me into a downward spiral. And the last time I was hospitalized, I think that was about 3 years ago. I wasn't even going to go to the hospital. I had a doctor's appointment for something else, and doctor did some tests, and she was like, "You don't look good. I think you should go to the ER." And I was like, oh my God, I hate going to the ER. I got to sit in there for hours and hours and, whatever. But I went anyway. And it was a good thing that I did because they told me, like, if you wouldn't have come, you probably would have had a stroke today. And that was 3 years ago. So I was only 37, 36, 37. Really too young to be having a stroke when you really think about it. I grew up as an athlete, very active person, but I realized that I was compensating me dealing with my pain and trying to numb it as much as I possibly could with like vodka. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You would have thought I was Russian. I was drinking so much vodka.
Mm.
And I just gave up on life. Like I was just like, well, if this is what life is and this is what life is, I'm just gonna ride it out until, I die. And I literally had that mindset. And so my body was adjusting to that same mindset. But that day that I went in, they're like, yeah, we're not gonna let you go home. We're gonna admit you. I ended up staying in the hospital for the longest I ever have for any of my episodes, and it was like 4 days.
Mm.
But I went through some other experiences in the hospital that showed me that if you do not get on top of this, you're going to kill yourself. That was one of the clearest messages that I got while I was in there. And so after that, when I got discharged, mind you, they never really told me what was wrong with me. They never really diagnosed me with anything. They said it could be this, it could be this, it could be this.
Mm-hmm.
After I got out of there, I had another huge spiritual experience that was something that I won't even talk about with a lot of people because it's very unbelievable. But I know what I experienced, I know what I saw, and I
Mm-hmm.
know what the purpose was. After that, I was like, yo, I can't keep living like this. Like, I wouldn't do anything. I was barely going to work. I was never eating. That's why I lost a lot of weight.
I remember.
And you could tell I was sick, but nobody knew what I was sick from, you
Mm.
know? And of course, they wanted to prescribe you drugs and stuff. And something in my mind and my soul was like, no, you don't need that. You need to heal some stuff and you need to face it. And I was still dealing with, me feeling the abandonment from my dad not being in my life, but I had reconnected with him on my own terms. But
Mm-hmm.
I still, even with me having a relationship with my mom, I still felt abandonment from her too. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like all these things that I'd never was able to express was making me sick and it was killing me.
Do you think like I know like when I had my near death experience, I felt like a part of me died. Like in it was at first like it was like a scary thing, but then I started looking at it as like that part of me needed to die.
Yes,
Do you feel like that?
I do. That part of me needed to die because that part of me has started saying that I don't believe in God.
Mm.
And now, mind you, I'm not a very religious person, but I grew up in the church.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had a great respect for a higher power, no matter where it is through what means now.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I was actually saying that out loud, and I remember saying it, it was like, how dark, how low was I in? And not only that, how many people knew but didn't know how to help me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I may have had like one or two people who really tried to help, who brought it up, even though it may be uncomfortable, it may be something, you don't want to speak on. But it wasn't a lot of people that was like, yo, Treka, you need to stop drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Or you need to slow down. It wasn't even just about the drinking. It was like, once I got going, there was no stopping. And I mean, I still drink to this day. It's a constant struggle. And I've realized that the alcoholism issue is something that is a generational thing in my
Mm-hmm.
family. But I think that generations before me either have refused or didn't have the chance to acknowledge and work on it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I think that's an important part is the acknowledging part, like we said before, like the accountability, because I think it kind of like it leads to healing, and I think like I hear what you're saying as far as going through certain things and then like resorting to like, alcohol. I mean, I know for me, like it was just because I didn't know how to heal those parts of myself. And like the pain was just too much to bear at times where I was like, it was so much easier to just try to like numb it with like whatever I had, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it just became a way of like a normal thing for me. And then after a while, like similar to yourself, I just started not being able to recognize myself, but I'm just very grateful, what I'm saying, like whatever that awakening was for you. I'm very grateful that you experienced it, because like I said, Trick, like when we have our conversations, man, like I love you, you're my sister, and I'm just like I
You
know,
were
like,
bad. I was bad. I was bad for a long time. I'm actually surprised that I'm still here sometimes, like, because you hear about people who drink too much and all that shit. And I even
right.
had a doctor, and he was like, I don't know what test it is they run to test your like your alcohol levels and shit, but he was just like, "Yo, I've tested grown men whose levels are not as high as yours, and I can't believe you're still walking around."
Wow.
And I was little too because I was losing weight because I wasn't eating.
Mm,
And I'm blessed. I'm definitely blessed to have you as a friend. You always have my back. You never really judge me. You would say the things that I needed you to say, but I think you also gave me the respect. Like, okay, well, she's a grown woman. I'm gonna try to let her figure it out as much as she can before it becomes a big deal. And that's way more than a lot of people try to do. Like most of my family, they would just talk crap,
mm,
and that's
mm.
not very helpful.
No, it's not. Well, I just figure it's like I know when I was going through my stuff, like I wish somebody was there to, kind of like help me, like, you know, like look at things different. You know what I mean? Because it's hard, like when you're telling yourself all these negative things and that's what you believe. It's like, you know, it's
It's
hard to
real
snap out
hard.
of that.
It is. Mental illness is the result of deeper trauma. So
Yeah,
when people try
exactly.
to go in and heal people, you try to heal them from alcoholism, but you're not tapping into what created the alcoholism. So
Hmm.
you're not ever. That's why people relapse so much, because they don't get down to the
Into the root.
actual trauma.
Hmm.
They're dealing with the symptoms of the trauma, but you're not dealing with the actual trauma.
Hmm.
And I think that what is coming about now is that a lot more studies, medical studies, are coming out that show, hey, just sliding somebody some pills is not really tapping into what they need to get into to stop them from wanting to go and numb themselves. They feel something deeper. Or
Hmm.
maybe their parents felt something deeper and they passed that along.
Hmm.
I was watching some dude, and it was real crazy when he was explaining. He was like, what people don't understand is like when a woman is pregnant, if she is living in fear and instability and abandonment while she's pregnant, even if when the baby is born and they live in a gorgeous house and they got all the security in the world, that baby still has the trauma of those emotions because that was what was in the mom's body when he was in the body.
Mm.
And I was like, damn, that's deep. But it makes sense,
It does. Yeah, because we're energy sources, like you said. So like the baby feels the vibrations, the baby's feeling what that energy is like.
And just stores it, and your body remembers it. And whenever you feel like that, you get taken back to that same level of energy and vibration. So I think I just, for the most part, I'm just trying to make sure that to start being aware of how I feel, and moving accordingly. If something make me feel a little bit off, why does this make me feel off?
Hmm.
And then work through it instead of just ignoring certain things. Like, I think a lot of us got that, well, if I just ignore it, it doesn't matter, it's gone. But that's not true. It'll come back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you being aware of those things is like just understanding yourself, and like you can't set boundaries that are healthy if you don't understand what those things are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, Trick, man, like this has been a really dope conversation. I feel like we could do this like every day for like the next like 2 years and still not like, have
Still not
anything.
scratch the surface.
Yeah. But I appreciate you like sharing your experiences and you sharing like the things that you've been through and like your perspective on things, because I feel like when other people hear other people talking about this stuff, I do feel like it makes a difference, whether it make a small ripple in somebody's world or whether it make a huge ripple in somebody's world. I do think that it plays a part in us like trying to make things better for other people.
Yeah. And I mean, doing service for the collective, that's one of my primary goals right now. It's not just about me.
Me
It's way
too.
bigger than me. But
I
it's
agree.
therapy for me too, like I said. So definitely appreciate you having me on. I don't really feel like it's been an hour, but it probably has.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just looked up and I was like, "Man, it's already been like an hour. That's crazy." But before we go, Trick, I just wanted to ask you one more question.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think is one of the most important things you've learned at this point in your life?
Mm. I think the most important thing I've learned is that you gotta love yourself. I I didn't love myself. If I loved myself, I wouldn't say, "Hey, who cares if I don't live and who cares about God?"
Mm,
That's not loving myself. And just because you don't have, or you don't look, or you are not in the same place as everybody else doesn't mean that you are behind or in front. Everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be.
hmm. Oh man, that's a beautiful thing. I think not measuring yourself to other people is like a huge thing.
We
Because
got to
like
be
you
kinder to ourselves.
hell yeah. And like you said, that's self-love. That's that love.
Yeah.
Like I don't know many people that would be I don't know many people that would be as hard on other people as they are with themselves.
Oh no, I let other people slide left and right, but let me do something. I'm like, you're so stupid. Why did you do that? And I'll be talking about it to myself for days. Like, and nobody cares anymore, Treka. You're just beating yourself up for no reason now. So yeah, I mean, we gotta take care of ourselves, be kinder to ourselves, be gentler to ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, and no, it's okay. It's okay to not be perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Oh man, I tell myself and I tell my kids as often as I possibly can that it doesn't make you anything, it just makes you human.
Hmm.
That's it. We're just humans. Like we're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna do things that aren't necessarily always the
That's
best
what
for
we're
us.
here for, though. That's what
Yep.
I'm saying. And that's where, okay, I know we're about to try to cut the show down, but real quick, people like to talk about religion and, they throw, well, God, if you do this, God's going to do this. And God is not a vengeful God. He put
Mm,
us down here to make these mistakes so he can go through the experience and feel it too. So once
hmm.
people understand, like, there is no good, there is no bad. It's what's more favorable to you and what's less favorable to you. Because
Hmm.
my favorable may not be yours,
Hmm.
but it doesn't mean it's bad or good. It works for me.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
And I,
we
I
gotta go
think
easy.
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. It's what works for you. You know what I mean? And that mentality comes with a lot of uh not judging. You know what I mean? And I think that's an important thing. Is like you know when we talk about mental health issues and we talk about like how we're healing and things like that, I feel like some people tend to judge like what that is and like how you're going about it and like and what you should or shouldn't be doing. And it's like, man, just let me heal. You know what I'm saying? Like be there and be my support system, like and let me heal. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and if you feel like weird about it, or if you feel like it's something that you don't understand, then ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Like we can talk about it and we can just make it a conversation. You know what I mean? If you really care. If you
Hmm.
don't care, then like then just leave me be. Like let me do my own thing and like and you do your own thing and we'll just do it like that.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't even know all the people who like reached out to me on some different stuff. Like, I be reading your posts and I see what you be saying. And it's just like, there are people who want to know more about who we are, but they
Mm-hmm.
just don't know where to go and they don't want to be made fun of or they don't want, be put on the spot. But it's very important for us all to try to dive that deep.
And you're opening up a space, Trick. Like you said, like you got people that are hitting you up, like, man, I appreciate that conversation, or I appreciate you going there. Because there are people I've had people hit me up too, be like, man, like that's cool that you're talking about that, man. I didn't think that like, people would be talking about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, you opening up some space to, hopefully have other people feel comfortable enough to like enter, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
And I
yeah, I
mean,
mean,
at least sparking a conversation, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe somebody been lost and they don't know where to start thinking and they see one of your episodes and they're like, oh, okay, that's where I'm a little bit shaky.
mhm.
So
Yeah. And to other people that are watching and listening right now, I've known Trika for more than 20 years, but it doesn't take that length of a relationship to be able to have these conversations. You know what I mean? Like, you could talk to me after knowing me for like 5 minutes and we can have the same kind of conversation just because that's the space that I'm in now. So like don't feel like you have to like have like this huge history with somebody just to be able to like go there with somebody, you
some
know.
of my best conversations are with strangers. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
right. It's but they come, y'all just find each other, and that's
It's a
because
vibe.
like you said, you just in that space. So that's the
Mhm.
aura that you have, that's the energy you attract. So
Well,
yeah. I
I
I
appreciate
I
it.
love what you're doing. I know you're gonna keep on doing it. Happy anniversary.
Thank you, Tree. I appreciate that. I appreciate you just in general. You know what I'm saying? Like you've been there for me through a lot of my stuff too. So like, just it goes both ways.
Yeah, I tried to get rid of you a couple times, but it didn't work.
Nope.
Just kidding.
You didn't try
Just,
hard enough.
yeah, I wasn't trying hard. Not that hard.
Well, if you guys got, oh, that's what I was gonna say. I always end these conversations by saying that one person could change the world, but it's one person at a time, and right now that one person is you. So like Trika said, like take care of yourself. You know what I mean? Like give yourself some love. Like be a little bit more patient with yourself. Be a little bit more understanding with yourself, because we're all going through it. We're all going through something. Don't measure yourself against somebody else's journey, because your journey is your journey, and you're
Mhm.
gonna get there. I promise you. You know what I mean? But you just got to keep working at it. If you guys got anything out of this episode, please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe, because that's gonna help us out a lot. And drop us a comment. You know what I'm saying? Let me know. You know what I mean? Like how I'm doing, like what you think that we could be talking about more of, less of. And yeah, I appreciate everybody that's tuning in and tapping in and just joining what we're doing right now.
All right, y'all. Take care. Stay blessed, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.